What's going on, guys? The Monday Review. This week, we had some controversy in boxing. We had some controversy in the UFC, and we got some controversy everywhere around the world. We're going to cover it all. We're going to talk about it all. And then, obviously, during the week, we are going to get into a really big fight week. We have Fury Usyk, which I'm going to do a video on. We have, obviously, Barboza and Murphy in the UFC, which we're going to do a video on. I'm doing this from home today, just for the mere fact that I did get blood work done. But the rest of the videos will be shot in the studio. Better sound quality, obviously better background and stuff like that. But for the review, this is what we're dealing with. So when you look at the card in its entirety, first of all, we had another plus unit week. We are in the bonus again. This is a good feeling to have when you're kind of on a little bit of a streak now and you're sitting on a cushion. We go into this week trying to maintain that momentum with this card coming up. And one of the reasons why, guys, is this is why you sign up for themadlabmma.com. And if you haven't, you definitely should check us out. Listen, we're not going to be right all the time. We're not going to be wrong all the time. But the fact of the matter is I don't care what provider you enjoy. You can think somebody's a better, provider than us. But the fact of the matter is nobody's giving you the amount of information that we give you from week to week. It's not out there. It's not happening. I can promise you that. From the free content that you get all over YouTube, where everybody's opening up these free YouTube pages, to the content providers that take, what is that thing called? I don't even know what it's called. Patreon and all that. Like, yeah, it's all fine and good. They're giving you picks and they're doing this, but nobody gives you the detail that we give you. From the 15,000 words a week articles, to the DraftKings, to the analytics, to the fight metrics that Steve puts out, to just everything that we do. This is all we do. I mean, we have guys in our Discord that do football, basketball, baseball, and all that stuff, but the majority of our content is boxing MMA. So if you're a boxing MMA purist, and even if you're not doing it for a wagering perspective or a DFS perspective, you just want to be a part of a like-minded community that loves fighting, there's no better platform around. It is what it is. And it's not because of me. It's not because of the people I have working with me. It's literally the people that are involved and the people that are members. That's what makes this community so fantastic. A lot of sharps in there, people from all different countries, all different time zones. So you won't be alone no matter where you are. Come over and check us out, themadlabmma.com. The one thing that we did, that we continue to do, that will keep us in the profit and keep us in the bonus, is we do not listen to hype trains. We do not listen to the outside sources. We don't affiliate with other websites. We don't affiliate with other pages. We don't do any of those things where these guys kind of coagulate together and they have their shows and they have their guests and they text message each other all day, and one guy goes one way and then they all go that way. Everybody was on Rebellis to Spain this week. Everybody. And they were parlaying the under, and they were parlaying him, and they were parlaying this and parlaying that. If you looked at the breakdown and you looked at our article, we had a Costa by decision. That was our official pick. We didn't listen to the masses. We do this all the time. We completely X out these hype trains, and that's one thing that I can honestly say that we do very, very well. We know how to find them and dispose of them. So we avoided that at all costs. It actually helped us in numerous ways in DraftKings. And obviously, if you read the breakdown and you did take a Costa by decision, you guys hit a pretty good number. So that was a really good bright spot for us. One dark spot for us, which really wasn't a dark spot, and I would pick her again and again and again and again, is if there was one robbery on this card, if there was one, it was the Tecia Torres fight. Tecia Torres did not lose that fight. I mean, I wouldn't consider it a robbery, like where you can't sleep. I can't believe what I just watched. But if you know how to score fights and you know how to score rounds, you know Tecia Torres won that fight. I was pretty certain when it was going to the cards that she won that fight. We had a wager on her, and obviously that wager lost. And I'm not one to complain. I'm not one to make excuses like a lot of these people will be on the internet all night long and, I can't believe this, look at the significant strikes and look at the numbers. I do believe that there's a human element involved in judging, and you have to be able to see a certain thing with fights outside of the numbers. And from the numbers to the visuals to the human element, she won everywhere. There was nothing that Richie did that was successful. She pinned her against a cage. She tried to take her down. She couldn't take her down. Everything she did kind of failed. Now, I understand in the judging criteria, you don't get points for defense. I get that. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is you also shouldn't get a nod for failure. All these failed attempts, where then when you do open up, the clear leader in the clubhouse of the strikes and the significant strikes landed and the more activity was Tisha Torres. So like Tisha Torres did win that fight. The Olberg fight, I could not believe that Menafield used that game plan. I mean, you're coming at an amazing counter striker, amazing striker in general. Like, that is the wrong game plan. I mean, we had Olberg, but I honestly thought it was a good fight. That was a fight that I like completely stayed away from. I didn't want no money on it. I saw a path for both guys. But when I saw the way Menafield came in, it was almost like he just wanted to sell out. Like, he just wanted to surprise him with something. Like, you think I'm going to wrestle? Well, I'm going to come after you. And it failed. It failed him miserably. So kudos to Olberg. He's probably going to get a big fight now. He came out completely unscathed. One of the shockers for me, not really a shocker, but it was a fight that we ultimately stayed away from as well, was the Rebetsky and the Fiera fight. I mean, that is not a fraud check. Like, I wouldn't consider Rebetsky a fraud check. I consider that a guy who probably came into the fight, and I'm going to be honest with you, when he did come into that, when I did watch him fight that first round, it looked like he was kind of taking it a little lighter than he should. He was a little bit too loose. You do want to be loose when you fight, but there is a moment where you can be too loose. Like, if you're too loose, you're going to make mistakes, or you're going to leave these cushion openings. And I feel like he almost thought, like, going into the fight, like the fight was over, like he was going to win the fight. There's no way he was going to lose the fight. He was kind of biting on his own juice a little bit, and you can't do that, especially with a guy like Diego Ferreira, and he made him pay. He made him pay dearly. So that was a pretty big upset. Deshaun Woodson and Alex Caceres fight. I know there were people crying on mountaintops that Alex Caceres won, Alex Caceres got robbed. These are the people that had wagers on Alex Caceres. Alex Caceres did not win that fight. Close fight, I wouldn't have been mad either way. If Caceres would have won and our bet would have shit the bed, I would have been like, I can't argue with it. Like, I'm not going to sit there and argue with it. I do believe that Woodson did win the fight, by hairs. By hairs. At the end of the day, a round is a round, there's a round. You can have a really close round, but somebody's got to win that round. So just because Caceres is pushing forward doesn't mean he was landing the more damaging strikes. It's a close fight. It could have went either way, but these guys out there that are trying to convince you that Caceres was robbed, don't listen to them, because 9 out of 10 times these guys had money on Caceres, so they're trying to plead their case. But it was a really good fight. The one that I said, in my article, and I have the proof of it, I have the screenshot of how we broke it down, where everybody was biting on this Despain character is beyond me. I mean, that was beyond, and I loved it because it kept everything like. When I was doing my projections for DraftKings, I was like, dude, this guy's going to be like 55% owned. Like, this is insane. Like, these guys saw a sample size of this guy against a horrible Josh Parisian. Like, horrible Josh Parisian. Okay, he knocked Josh Parisian out. Big deal. I mean, we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen him go into the second round. We haven't seen him on his back. We haven't seen him defend the takedown. We've seen nothing. And all these people, again, just piled in on Rebels Despain because he's 6'7" and 260 pounds, and he's got a Taekwondo background in like Olympic, Cuban Taekwondo. But who cares? Who cares? You got a guy in, Acosta who's not small. I mean, he's not small in him, but he's not small. He's still 6'4". He's still a big dude. He's got cage experience. He's a little bit more well-rounded, a lot more well-rounded after that. And he ended up doing exactly what I thought. If this fight was going to go one way, it was either going to go, Despain was going to be that guy, or Costa was going to drag him to the fucking cards. And that's exactly what happened. He dragged him to the cards, and everybody's parlays, the unders and the Despain parlays. I don't know when people are going to learn. Like, I love it. I like it. I almost don't want people to learn. I want my people to learn, but I don't want, like, the outsiders, because let them do what they want. Let them keep driving these hype trains down people's throats. My job is to take care of my people. And we've been saying it all week. We said it all week before the fight. Like, what is it about this Spain that you guys are so confident in? How do you know he's going to finish him like Josh Parisian? How do you know he's got this well-rounded game? You don't. You're just looking at 6'7", a guy who's got Kevin Randleman hair, and you think he's like this beast, this monster. And he is the epitome of an absolute fraud. A fraud. To the point where I even think Dana White was biting into it a little bit, because if you ask Dana White at the post presser about this fight, he actually said, like, if there was one fight that was terrible on the card, if that's what you're going to give me, it's that kind of fight about Acosta winning the fight. I almost feel like he was bitter that he won that fight. Like, the guy was a big underdog. The guy was not supposed to win this fight. He was going against one of your projects, one of your units that you were trying to build up. You know, that's why he was on the main card. Acosta wasn't on the main card. He was the B side. Despain was the A side. And he abused and battered him and literally embarrassed him. Doesn't matter, he didn't finish him. Dana White didn't like that, though. But I think it's because Dana White was actually bitter that, damn, like, we brought this guy in, we put him on the fucking main card, you know, and Acosta abused and battered him and beat him. So cheers to him, man. Good for him, and thank God another hype train is out of the way. When you look at the prelims, Chase, Hooper, and Borshev, I will be the first one to say, because I'm transparent, not like everybody else. You see these people on Twitter where they'll like put like these bets that they want, and then all of a sudden, if they don't, they disappear for the night. We were on Borshev, and I really thought that Borshev was going to be able to keep him at range with his striking. But he proved us wrong, and the crazy thing was about it, Hooper actually dropped him with his shot. That's when I knew it was over. When he got dropped I'm lying. When he got dropped by that shot, I was more confused. I was like, he's really taking him light. Like, Borshev was another guy who was fighting really, really loose. And then when he went down to the ground, I thought he was going to get subbed. And when he didn't get subbed, there was like a small part of me that was thinking, like, maybe Hooper put so much into that round that Borshev's going to come back now and he's going to end up knocking him out. But it was the same thing. He took him down. He abused him. I mean, literally, that was a fight where I said in my podcast, like, one or the other guy is going to look like a major favorite by the end of the night. It's either going to be like Borshev's going to win, you're going to be like, bro, he should have been like minus 500, or Chase Hooper was going to win, you're going to be like, bro, he should have been minus 500. It was going to be one or the other. So I was on the Borshev side, I was on the wrong side. Terrence McGinney and Ribovics, what a fight, right? That was not really a fight, but what a finish. We were on the Ribovics side of that. I'm just not a McKinney guy. I mean, I respect him. I think he's a great athlete. But you need the right people in your corner to take you out of these habits and these habitual things that you do. You just have to do it. When you have a mindset, a kill or be killed mindset, that's great for entertainment. That's great for the business. But that's not going to get you wins. Because when you get to a certain level in fighting, the windows get smaller and smaller and smaller. These guys know how to counter these attacks. These guys don't get frazzled when this athletic guy's charging them with flying knees and flying backs. These are things they've seen before. You can get away with that on the regional circuit. You can get away with that on the contender series and stuff, but you're not getting away with that when you get to a level where a guy has X amount of fights where nothing you are doing, can really frazzle him or take him off his blueprint. And when he knows that, like, you're going to be chaos in round number one, so I'm going to stick. It doesn't work like that. So he came in. I thought Ribovics would knock him out in the second round. That was my pick. I said Ribovics second round knockout. I actually had like a little touch on the plus 800 prop on that. But McKinney does what McKinney does. He charges in. He's got no defense, and Ribovics literally put him to sleep. I mean, sat him down like he was sitting at a dinner table. To the point where he was actually laughing. It looked like Terrence McKinney was actually laughing. When he sat down and the ref went over to him, it looked like he was actually laughing. Obviously, Tisha Torres and Richie, Tisha Pennington. Tisha won that fight. There's nobody that's going to convince me otherwise. Anybody who actually believes that Richie won that fight, you either have the hots for her or you had money on her. If you really, really inside yourself believe that Tisha Torres lost that fight, then you honestly just don't know how to score fights. I mean, you don't know, like, you're doing it from a very biased standpoint. Because even if I did pick Richie, which I didn't, I picked Torres. Even if I did pick Richie, I've done it before with guys that I picked where I'd be like, dude, we got away with one there. Like, he did not win that fight, or she did not win that fight. Tabitha Richie did not win that fight. But we live with it. Next one, Billy Goff and Trey Waters. I tried to tell people about this guy too. We had some people in my Discord who were big Goff believers. And I keep telling everybody, like, you can't win on toughness alone. Like, that only takes you so far. Is he super tough and a dog? Yes. Was it a close fight? Yes. Did Trey Waters fight the way I expected him to fight? No. I got to be honest with you. He wasn't as sharp and technical as I'm used to him seeing on film. A couple things, times I've seen him on tape, he was a little bit sharper. He was throwing things a little bit more with a little more laser precision, a little more down the center line. He was getting a little too caught up in the chaos. And I think once he got tired, it was just all about survival, looping punches. And, you know, he was still trying to keep a semblance of accuracy, but he wasn't as sharp as I'm used to him seeing. But Billy Goff is just chaos on wheels. There's nothing behind his game. He just goes in, he throws for the fences, and he just takes what's given to him. And that's good, but it also boils down to people are going to keep picking this guy and keep picking this guy and keep picking this guy, and he's going to lose. The higher he gets into this echelon of fighters, he's going to lose. So people are going to start understanding that, start learning their lesson. Like, you got to learn your lesson in this game, in any game, and whatever you do. Like, I try to tell everybody, no matter what, win or lose, you always take the technician over the puncher. Like my father used to always say, take the boxer over the puncher. Like, if you stick to that formula, are you going to win all the time? No. You're going to win probably 70% of the times. Probably 70% of the times. If you got a real technical fighter against a guy who's just kind of a brawler, that technical fighter is going to win 70% of the times. Yeah, the puncher's going to come in, land something on you once in a while. It's going to happen. But Billy Goff, there's nothing really tied to his game that you can obviously say, well, yeah, this is how he's going to win. You don't know how he's going to win because you just got to say that he's going to win by being a dog. And that's great, but he's going to get to a point where if he gets to a certain level of the division, that's not going to do nothing for him. It's actually going to hurt him. So close decision. I wouldn't have hated it either way. If they would have gave it to Goff, I would have been fine with it, but I was fine with Trey Waters too. I picked Trey Waters, so I was happy. Charles Johnson, Jake Hadley. Another close fight. I think that the 30-27 of Charles Johnson to me was insane. That was insane. I do think that I was fine with it. I mean, I think Hadley, in my opinion, I think he might have pulled it out a little bit. But like I said, it was you're pulling hairs at that point. St. Louis, Charles Johnson's hometown. You got to kind of expect that. J.J. Aldridge-Hardy, got no issues with that decision. I really, really don't. I think it was a close fight, but I think J.J. Aldridge could have done more. But I don't have any issues with that decision. The one fight that fell off the card was Jared Gooden and Kevin Doucette. I went back and forth with one guy on the internet. He told me, I can imagine getting fight of the night and in your last fight and having him cut because I said he should be cut. So my rebuttal to him was, you're 2-4 in the UFC. You've had 2 drastic weight misses. It still hasn't come out what your medical condition is, why you couldn't make the scale. But if you know anything, if you've been behind the curtain and you know anything, you know that he didn't make the scale because something happened during the weight cut. You know what I mean? So if something happened to the girl, they may try to cover it and say it was food poisoning or something like that. But something happened during the weight cut where he couldn't make the scale. So, you know, you want to defend the guy like that all you want. And you want to say, yeah, cut him because he's 2-4. First of all, how many guys you know 2-4 that are like not hanging by a thread in the UFC? And another thing is, what about the Kevin Doucette side? Like, these people don't think about this. They're just so quick to jump and be biased. What about that he traveled 20 hours to fly into the United States? 20 hours. Cut all the weight, got the hotels, made the travel plans, did all this. He did his job. He was ready to fight. Now he doesn't have a fight because somebody couldn't make the scale. I mean, that's the argument you're coming with me with. You're coming with me with that argument. Don't cut him because he had a fight of the night against Wellington Turman. Performance of the night. That's your argument. But he's 2-4. He missed the scale drastically 2 times. Probably a weight issue the 3rd time. And then you got a guy in Kevin Doucette who flies 20 hours to the United States, cuts all the weight, gets the hotel, does the travel plans, brings his team, and he doesn't even have a fight. So that's the argument you're going to bring to me. All right. We go over to boxing now. Loma is Loma. I mean, for those of you guys who don't watch boxing, like Lomachenko is, the guy's unbelievable. This is a guy who, you got to remember, when he was younger, Lomachenko, his father got him into boxing when he was 4 years old. Okay, which is kind of an odd age, right? Like, how much can you really do at 4 years old? So what he did was after that was he kind of cut the string on the boxing from him and he put him into Ukrainian dance. And he went to this Ukrainian dance. And think about a kid being a Ukrainian dance. You don't know what the hell's going on. You're like, why is my dad doing this to me? Like, why does he have me in Ukrainian dance? Well, his dad had it all in his mind the whole time that this is going to be my son's footwork. This is what's going to give him his footwork, what he needs when I bring him back and I start training him again for boxing. And that's exactly what he did. And it worked. It absolutely 1,000% worked. So he takes on Kambosos. And, you know, I said before the fight, I said, look, I don't know how good this fight's going to be from a competitive perspective, but it's just getting to watch a great fighter. Sometimes it doesn't matter if there's two, you know, if it's a great fight. If you have the opportunity to watch greatness, you watch it. Like, you appreciate it. It doesn't matter if it's a truck roll or it's a really competitive fight. You have an opportunity to watch greatness. And Loma is greatness. I mean, this is a guy who probably, for my money, is the greatest amateur boxer of all time. And he's one of the most technical fighters I've ever seen in my lifetime. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, there were guys like Sugar Ray Robinson and stuff like that, you know, we can have this argument all day as far as technicalities and stuff. But in my time that I was able to really appreciate to watch, there were guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Sweet Pea Purnell Whitaker. There were some really technical boxers, but Lomachenko, I mean, they call him the Matrix for a reason. Like, this dude is like a scientist in there. And there's a lot of boxers that are, but for our time, Lomachenko is someone that you got to appreciate. When you look at Kambosos on the other side, who did he really beat? Who did he ever really beat? I mean, I respect him. I respect him a lot because he's never ducked a fight. This is a guy who will fight anybody. But when you're at his level and you know, like, you don't have the skill set to be a Lomachenko or to be some of these top guys, you kind of got to take these fights. You got to just take what they give you. If they want to give you a big time fight, you're going to take it. You don't have the luxury like a Canelo Alvarez to avoid a David Benavidez. Canelo has that luxury. When you're a Kambosos and you know, like, you're not at that level, you've had one big fight, and you're a high level athlete, but you're not up in the elite. Like, you don't have any business turning down a fight or saying no to a fight. So I do respect him for never turning down a fight, but you're not going to turn down a fight when you have guys above you that you're fighting. It's when you're up here that you have that luxury to say, I'm not going to fight Benavidez, or I'm not going to fight Tank Davis, or I'm not going to fight Shakur Stevenson, or I'm not going to fight, you know, Anthony Tyson Fury. Like, you have these luxuries where you don't have to fight these guys. And it went how I thought it went. I mean, I honestly thought it would go to decision, but when I saw, like, around the 6th round that Loma had an axe to grind, I said, you know, there's a chance he's going to knock him out. I even said in my Discord, I was like, I think it's going to go to the cards, probably win a really lopsided decision. But around the 6th round, I was like, he looks like he's got an axe to grind. Like, he wants to make a statement tonight. I would not be shocked if he does it. And he did. He ended up finishing at the end of the 11th. So guy looked tremendous. I look forward to see what's going to happen to him next. There's a lot of good fights out there for him. Shakur Stevenson is probably the one I'd really like to see. Two real technical guys. Like, that's real old guard against new guard. I think that'd be a really interesting matchup. The one fight that not a lot of people are talking about, though, is the Andrew Maloney fight. This is a guy who, after he fought, this is his second time he was fighting for a world title, and both times he kind of feel like he got swept he got robbed. First time he felt like he got robbed. This time he felt like he got robbed. And I got to be honest with you, on first look, I did. I was like, you know, I think he got robbed. I think he got robbed, and I was actually pissed off about it. And he actually retired in the ring. He grabbed the microphone. He goes, "There's no way he won that fight." I was backing off. You know what I mean? Something happened to his shoulder, and he was like, "I was backing off. I wasn't even putting my foot on the gas because I really thought there was no way he won this fight." That's when I was like, mistake number one. You do not take your foot off the gas, and in this world, in this day and age, when the judging is the way it is, you take your foot off the gas and you assume anything. You never assume anything when it comes to the judges. Nothing. Zero. I've seen some egregious decisions in MMA and in boxing. And one thing that you never tell your fighter is you're ahead. Never. That's a cardinal sin. I can't stand when they go in the corner and it's like it is technically 4 rounds to nothing or 5 rounds to nothing or 3 rounds to nothing. And they're like, you're up 3-0 or you're up 4. Like, you never tell your fighter that. You're just giving them a ticket to coast. You don't do that. You tell them, if anything, I don't know, it was close round. It was close round. You gotta come up. You gotta step on the gas a little bit for me here. Be cautiously aggressive. Give him signs and symptoms that there was but you got to get out there and you still got to fight. Like, that was a horrible statement that he made that a lot of people missed. Like, I hurt my shoulder and I didn't throw as much as I want or could have because I really thought I was coasting to a victory. Like, that is something that nobody's talking about. Like, you do not do that. You do not have that mindset. You go in. I understand that Maloney's not a knockout artist and his fight was never going to be, but you still got to step on the gas. I watched it again. It was a really good fight. It wasn't a robbery. I do believe Maloney won. I do. I believe his punches were a little bit sharper. I think he was a little bit more technical. I think he had the bigger moments in the rounds. But to me, it wasn't a robbery after the second time I watched it. It was the wrong decision, in my opinion. I think Maloney should have gotten the belt. I think he should have won the fight. But now I understand why a lot of people aren't talking about it as much. I haven't seen much about it for the mere fact that it was closer than first look. It was a closer fight. It wasn't no fight where that guy should have ever went into the ring and said, like, I'm coasting here. There's no way he won this fight. Like, it was a competitive fight. That I'll say. It was a competitive fight. What else do we have? We got Tyson Fury and Usyk this week. What else do we have going on? Tyson Fury, Usyk. We got Barbosa and Murphy. Card's not that great. We are going to get into it, though. We'll break that down. And that's about it. That's about it for the review. Oh, another thing. Now we want to talk about something in the world, actually. I always want to add something in there. I was reading something this morning about the universities around the country, right? And I mentioned something about in my show last week that we were talking about the around the country. And now these people are walking. They're doing their ceremonies. They're walking. They showed a video clip of some girl from Columbia University. She walked on the stage with the Palestinian flag, and she actually ripped up her diploma and threw her Columbia University diploma off the stage. You had Jerry Seinfeld at Duke University giving the commencement speech, and people walked out and turned their backs on him. You have other students that turn their back on the Valedictorians and stuff like that, with their throwing their diplomas. And what is going on? And this directly goes out to them. Like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think by ripping your diploma up on stage, what's going to happen? Do you think that the government's going to, well, hold on a second. Catherine Zeta-Jones ripped up her diploma on stage. All right, guys, we got to do something. This has gone too far. Like, she literally ripped her diploma up on stage. We got to do something. Like, now it's time we got to step in and we got to really do what they want us to do, because they're ripping up diplomas. Like, this is getting crazy. Let's back up now for a minute. They're ripping up diplomas. Now we got to step in. What do you think you're accomplishing by ripping up your own diploma? What do you think you're accomplishing by turning your back during commencement speeches? Like, do you really think they care what you're doing? They have. This is what the younger generation has to understand. This is what they have to understand. They do not care what you think. That's all there is to it. They do not care what you think. People have done it. They lit themselves on fire. They had people actually lighting themselves on fire. Did anything happen? No. Nothing happened. A guy lit himself on fire, for Christ's sake. Nothing happened. They don't care. It's going to hit the news. It'll be on the news for 24 hours. It'll be gone like the wind. So, what do you think? If you want to make a difference, if you really, really want to make a difference, if this is what you're sold on, and you because you want to be seen and you want to be heard, and if you want, go over there. Go over there and make a difference. Don't do it here. You're not helping anybody here. By you ruining college, walks and ripping your diploma up and chanting in the streets and stopping people from getting to work. You're not accomplishing nothing here. Nobody cares. The government doesn't care. Nobody cares. They honestly just look at you like, look at these people. Like, look at these people. Look what they're doing. So if you want to make a difference, if this is in your heart, like, I need to help Palestine, or I need to help Israel, or I need to help this country or that, go over there and help them. Go put your boots on and help them. you're not doing anything good over here. There's nothing you're going to get accomplished. I promise you this. I promise you this. Nothing will get accomplished here. You're just doing nothing but wasting your time and probably ruining your life. So that's all I got to say. Go to themadlabmma.com if you want the best boxing and MMA content. And I will see you in a couple days with the breakdown of Usyk and Fury and the breakdown of Barbosa and Murphy.